Hey guys, it's Casey Kieran from AM Hoops. So I found out the other day, the most searched term to do with my channel is AM Hoops diet. And my wife immediately said, people care what you eat? No, no one cares what I eat. They care what LeBron James eats, Dwight Howard, Steph Curry. I made all these diet videos hoping you guys would like them, and you do. So the most interesting trend that I saw out there was this trend of more and more NBA players going vegan or plant-based.
How'd you do that?
Simple. Plant-based diet.
So here's a list of prominent players who went vegan at one time. Jahlil Okafor, Michael Porter Jr., Wilson Chandler, Damian Lillard, John Salley, Javale Mcgee, Eric Gordon. Not a complete list. I'm sure there are other guys out there, but those are just the big names that you kept seeing over and over. And then there are the plant-based guys, and that includes DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, or Kyrie Irving. So what's the difference between plant-based and vegan? Well, this website had a cool chart. It was called forksoverknives.com. So you see that all animal products like meat, seafood, or dairy are an absolute no for vegans, but then that little yellow line says plant-based people apparently just avoid those products, meaning they could eat it here and there from time to time. But I have seen on social media some guys interchange the words. The point is that they avoid meat. So I wanted to know why so many NBA players, big names too, all decided to not eat meat. I also wanted to know what they do eat during the season and why so many of them couldn't stick to it. I did have one big problem with all this, and we'll get to all of that in this video. So this is AM Hoops, and I am Casey Kieran, and we're making 5 quality videos Monday through Friday, all dropping at 6 Eastern. I only ask that you hit subscribe. So the most interesting thing that I noticed was that none of the NBA players that ditched meat did it for moral reasons. In fact, the term plant-based is supposed to be separate from any moral overtones. Basically, they don't care so much about Bambi's feelings, they care about their own bodies. Kyrie Irving said, quote, "I was noticing that I wasn't able to recover as fast after games and workouts. I did a lot of research," he loves doing his own research, "and learned that my diet could be a factor." So Wilson Chandler, who by the way got caught for PEDs, and you're probably wondering, that guy cares about his body? Yes, because steroids actually allow athletes to heal faster, and according to him, so did being vegan.
I think when I left New York and I went to Denver and I started having all the injuries and shit, trying to figure out, I'm like, damn, working hard, taking care of my body, I don't know what's going on. So I was talking to this one lady, and she was like, man, you should try being vegan, you know what I'm saying? It's good, like, with inflammation in your body and recovery and shit. So I tried it out. And that 2 years, I had just had hip surgery.
Right, I remember that.
And I was out for the season, so I started like right around that time. And then I came back, that's like I hit the ground running, like I never had the surgery. I had one of my best years.
And it was that last part that I kept saying over and over. Wilson Chandler had the best year of his career after going vegan. And I would see that on all these vegan websites who are clearly pushing an agenda, so it kind of made me wonder like how much of what they're telling me is true. But then I heard this from Chris Paul, who said that he went plant-based, and he told this story about eating out with LeBron James and Russell Westbrook.
Oh, they gave me hell.
Yeah, but now they're gonna watch you play.
You know, like I said, to
Wait,
each his
what
own.
did they say? You said they gave you hell.
Oh yeah, they was like, what you do, you know, but it is what it is.
Okay, so if you heard that lady's question, or her comment really, she was right. She said they'll see how you play during the season. And Chris Paul, now I'm not saying this is 100% because he went plant-based, but he is an all-star again for the first time since 2016. So that really is interesting, and it backs up a lot of what the plant-based crowd is saying. But it's more than just inflammation and recovery. A Harvard study found that the average NBA player weighed more as the years went on, naturally you could imagine, until 2013. See that drop off there? And if you zoom in, you can see it more pronounced. The average weight dropped off by 3 pounds per year after 2013. Instead of small ball, they call it skinny ball. It's kind of a reaction to the Golden State Warriors and how they changed the game. In fact, crazy stat, the fastest team back in 1997 would be the slowest team today. And that's one thing that a lot of guys kept saying is because they switched to a non-meat diet, they felt lighter and faster. Now, going back to Wilson Chandler, he had a funny story about how athlete vegans and most vegans do it for different reasons.
Actually, was it PETA or whatever? we had gotten to a little big thing. Well, they got into a big thing, rather. I was fishing, and they got like 1,000,000-some hits on ESPN. I had caught a big-ass fish in Florida.
I seen a 300-pound grouper or something like that.
So, they had hit me like, I thought you was big. I'm like, I ain't eating. I like to go fish, I like to fish,
You caught a 300-pound fish?
So they was going crazy on me. So I'm like, man, I just met with them, so see what's good.
So that's hilarious. PETA thought that they had an unofficial spokesman, and then it turns out Wilson Chandler just does it because he believes that it helps his body and his career. Very cool for them to take such a drastic step, but there is an advantage that these NBA players have over the rest of us, and Damian Lillard explained it perfectly.
It's not hard because I have a chef making the food for me. So, I mean, I guess that's a plus for me. That would make it easier than, any other person. But it is hard when you like on the road, you driving and, it's a Five Guys right there and a Wendy's right there. So I think that's the hardest part. But, for the most part, I've been under control.
So with their chefs and their big budgets and everything, how do these guys actually eat during the season? Well, here's an example of a typical day for Wilson Chandler. For breakfast, strawberries, cantaloupe, watermelon, grapes, bowl of oatmeal with cranberries, and a vegan protein shake. So a lot of fiber, fruits, and then that plant protein. Lunch, buffalo cauliflower, veggie burger with vegan cheese and mayo in a salad. Snack, goji berries. Dinner, lentil soup, and vegan pizza. So this guy's still eating pizza and burgers like the rest of us, only he's doing it on a plant-based diet, and apparently that helps for inflammation, recovery, all sorts of things. Also, several guys, including Kyrie Irving, are investors in one of those new fake meat companies called Beyond Meat. I actually have Beyond Meat in my freezer. They literally have made plants look and taste like cows. It's insane. A big question, of course, is how do they get protein? Well, Wilson Chandler, again, let's go back to him. He said, quote, "It's true with a plants-only diet, you can still keep up protein and energy, but you have to be a little more deliberate about what you eat. After all, a 100% French fry diet is technically still vegan. When I first made the transition, I struggled a little with fatigue because I was winging it. I just jumped in. But as I learned more and figured out which foods had more protein, I was fine. But at first, it was hard to keep my stamina up and I would get tired faster, but now I'm more knowledgeable." So again, it takes a little bit of work, but these guys have those personal chefs and on and on. So now let's get to the part that bothers me a little bit about all of this. This trend started to grow in the NBA in 2017, which is the same year that a Netflix documentary called What the Health came out. And Jahlil Okafor wasn't even shy. He said that documentary was a big influence on him.
The documentary called What the Health is one of the things that helped me become vegan. But most of the guys are like, no, I'm afraid to watch the documentary.
You're telling me they're afraid?
They're afraid of the truth.
Afraid of the truth.
Afraid of the truth. Now, when I saw that documentary, it came out and it was really well done. I'm sure a lot of you saw it. It was super convincing. I know several people in my life who at least tried to be a vegan after they watched that documentary. And I'm sure there is a lot of truth to everything that's in that documentary. However, I've got a background in journalism, and whenever I watch something or read something, I want to know who made this. Like, who am I listening to right now? Do they have an agenda, or do they want to get the facts straight? If they want to get the facts, generally they talk to both sides of an argument. And this guy talked to both sides, but most of the time it looked like this.
Why weren't breast cancer sites like Susan G. Komen warning everyone about this?
For calling Susan G. Komen, this is John Salley. How may I help you?
Okay, so we're wondering why you don't have a huge warning about the dangers of consuming dairy on your website when there's a direct link to breast cancer. There was a study published in the Journal of the National Cancer Institute that found out women consuming dairy who has had breast cancer increases their risk of dying of breast cancer 49%. I was wondering why it's not on your website.
We cannot answer these types of questions.
Once again, another health organization rep saying someone else would have to answer my question.
Oh my gosh. So again, like, there could be some truth in what he's saying. He's literally cold calling a Susan G. Komen office. And like, the receptionist answers and she's like, "Hello?" And he's like, "Will you please tell me why on your website, why it doesn't say anything about cancer, but there's a 30% link to cancer, and I want to know right now why you have this on your website." And the lady's like, I can't answer. And then immediately he comes in with, "See, another corporation can't tell me the truth." It's like, dude, you don't just ambush some receptionist. And then he goes in with a film crew and he does this more than once. And he literally goes up to that poor receptionist with a film crew. When she tells him to leave, he's like, look, I tried to get both sides of the story. So I like the documentary and I thought some of it might have been true and it made me, think twice about meat eating, but at the same time, I'm like, I have no idea what's real and what's not real in this. And it was kind of a fad, and most of the people I know who went vegan or tried to went back eventually for one reason or another. So I was skeptical, and sure enough, some of them went back to eating meat. Here's Javale Mcgee, who, ironically, like What the Health, got ambushed by TMZ.
How is the vegan diet like? How has it helped you as an athlete?
So I'm actually not vegan any longer.
Oh, you're not?
I took a blood sample. My iron was low, so the team I was on encouraged me to start eating. Yeah,
Start eating meat.
All right, low iron, got it. Damian Lillard lasted less than a year. He said, quote, I started to lose a little bit too much weight with all the games and practices and all that. I had to balance it out, so now I've been mixing it up a little bit more, having vegan meals, but still mixing it in with other stuff, AKA meat. Dude lost 17 pounds while vegan, and he does not have a lot of weight to lose. Michael Porter Jr. had a funny story about starting to eat meat. His parents actually raised him to not eat meat. He literally never had it until he was in the NBA, which is opposite of all these other guys. Michael Porter Jr. was out with some of his teammates at a Denver breakfast spot, and he said, quote, I ordered some food, and they brought out some bacon. He tried it, and, quote, there was no going back. It was just so good. And then he tried chicken wings, and after that he said, quote, it was all downhill from there. Michael Porter Jr. added what NBA.com said was quality weight after including meat, and that's 14 to 15 pounds. By the way, if you're wondering, yes, Wilson Chandler went back too. The only guys I could find who still abstain from meat are Kyrie, JaVale McGee, CP3, and DeAndre Jordan. And if I was being cynical, I would say, okay, that's also the list of guys who invest in that Beyond Meat company, so it's probably good for their bank accounts if they say, I'm vegan or I'm plant-based, but who knows? What I do know is that it is possible to be an NBA vegan. It helps and helped a lot of guys for a lot of reasons, but that it was a trend that has definitely died down. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.